Welcome, everyone. So glad you're here. Welcome on Facebook, welcome on YouTube. And for those people who are listening to the replay, welcome. Really glad to have you here. My name is Wendy Sachs, and I am a board member of Plant Powered Metro New York, and it really thrills me on our once-a-month series to introduce my dear friend, Chef Carole. Plant Powered Metro New York empowers people to find better health and overcome chronic diseases through whole food, plant-based nutrition, together with a wide network of grassroots leaders, organizers, and educators. We raise awareness about the value of whole food, plant-based nutrition. With a food as medicine approach, we offer education, build supportive communities that empower people to make lifestyle adjustments, and organize and lead projects that spark changes in food policy, food practice, and food culture. Welcome again to our ongoing series with Cooking with Chef Carole. Today, we're going to wrap up summer with fresh vegetables. And for those of you who've been visiting farmers markets all summer or who've been visiting farms, I think you'll find a fresh array of all the things that are in season right now that Carole will be making this afternoon. So if you'd like, let us know where you're from in the chat. We've been really enjoying people also in the New York metro area, but certainly those joining us elsewhere. And please ask questions in the chat. Carole will probably allow 15 minutes at the end of the presentation where we can handle as many questions as possible. And I'll also try to answer things that I know, but it's usually my preference to just ask Carole. So here we go. Carole, what's on the menu today?
Oh, thank you so much and welcome everyone. And thank you, Wendy. And we have quite a number of things because this is my very favorite time of year. I love it so much. Of course, the farmer's market is where you're going to get the biggest, most variety. But if you're shopping in the grocery store, you're going to get the biggest, most variety there as well. But it's just so fun to see the labor from the farmers, and it all kind of pays off at the end of the summer. So we're making lots of things with vegetables, and we're going to make 3 different menu items. The first one is we're making like a roasted ratatouille, and that's kind of important to me to show you a ratatouille. It's not a hard thing to make, but it is usually a very heavy on the oil. And so I wanted to show you the way that I make it when I'm not cooking with any oil. And then we're also going to make a spicy corn relish that can go on either a taco, but we're going to put it over greens, over a salad. And then we're also going to make a recipe that was inspired by Forks Over Knives, where we make a pasta salad with vegetables and we make a corn sauce. So lots of the same vegetables in each meal, okay? So you might see peppers, you're gonna see onions, tomatoes, eggplants, and a couple different kinds of zucchinis. So that's pretty much like our theme of vegetables, okay? So we've got to get started. And the first thing that I really want to do is I've got the oven preheating, and I have some corn. 2 cups of corn, okay? This is going to be for our corn relish, okay? Our spicy corn relish. And what I've done is 2 cups of corn are laying in a sheet pan. It's flat, 1 layer, not really deep. And I'm just going to cook it, and we're just going to get it brown in the oven while we start the ratatouille. So we're doing 2 things at one time. Okay, so this is going to go into the oven. And hopefully I remember it. I don't want to burn it. And we'll listen for it because it will start to pop, actually, just like popcorn. Okay, so we have our pan already heating up on the burner, and I'm going to put it at low and get this started because you know I never like starting with a cold pan. And I'm going to talk a little bit to you. I had to do things in advance, okay? And I want to show you what I've done, and I walk you through this in the instructions, but I just want to show you that I have 3 sheet pans, okay? I'll hold up 1 sheet pan right here, okay? This sheet pan has 3 tomatoes, and then it has 2 onions that have been cut open. Now, when these onions started in the cooking, they were actually upside down. okay? And then I actually put a pepper and a half also on the sheet pan, okay? No oil, not a drop of oil went on here. The onions caramelized naturally by themselves with their own sugars. The tomatoes, what I did was I put a little bit of black pepper on the tomatoes, and I took some fresh thyme sprigs, and if you look closely, I'll just show you here in the camera, like here, okay? That there are some fresh thyme sprigs, and I kind of pushed it in so that the flavor when it's roasting, the thyme is in there. And then these are just peppers that are cut in half, okay? So what we're gonna do is, and then all of that went into the oven without any kind of citrus, nothing, just cooks in the 400-degree oven. It roasts. How do you know when it's done? I actually always turn the onions over and I let it cook. And as soon as the onions are like brown on the bottom side, you know that these onions are done, okay? They're not 100% done, but believe me, I could eat this whole onion because it's super sweet right now and really delicious. And I do this all the time when I'm serving like Mexican food, or I don't know, this is one of my favorite ways, is just cutting onions and roasting them. Now, this pan is a different story. This pan has eggplant and it has the zucchini, right? Because it kind of lives all in the same family. I cooked it all together. Now, usually you would brush the eggplant or the zucchini with a bunch of oil, okay? But because I'm not using any oil, what I use is some kind of citrus. It could be orange, lemon, or lime. It doesn't matter. And you want to just squeeze the lemon or lime or juice on top. And you want it so it looks very, very moist, okay? And then you put it in the oven. Now you might need, when it's in the oven and it's roasting, you might see that it's starting to look dry. Maybe you give it another squeeze. It really depends on how moist everything is. But I want to just show you, this is very important, that most people cook eggplant and it is swimming in oil, okay? This is all brown. It is all looking very delicious, okay? This is edible at this point, okay? So, and then the zucchini as well. Okay, so, and I have a little more zucchini over here, just so you know. So I sliced the zucchini so that it was long and thin, a ½ inch thick, exactly like the eggplant, which is a half. Now I did save one eggplant. I'm using the small ones. I tend to like the small ones better than the big globe ones because they start to get a lot of seeds, and sometimes they get bitter the larger they get. And people often, when they think that they have a bitter eggplant, what they do is they put generously a lot of salt and they let the eggplant sit, and that makes it so that the bitterness goes out. But if I try to buy the young eggplants, and I'd rather buy a bunch of small ones than one gigantic one. And I just wanted to show you that when I cut this top off, okay, I'm not crazy about all this tough skin, okay, but I do like some of the skin. So just like I peel a cucumber when I'm trying to do something decorative, I actually take the peeler like this and I just go around and I leave some and I take some away, okay? So that's my way of, so that it doesn't have so much tough skin, but it still has some skin, okay? And then I want to show you, let me just move that. What I did to cut this eggplant when I was cooking it is, you know, I cut a little bit off, just a sliver, okay, just one little sliver. And then because I always talk about things not rolling, so now that's very stable. And then I cut this and I make big ½ inch pieces, okay, big ½ inch pieces. Okay, so this is what goes on the sheet pan, okay? I'm just showing you like this. This is what's going on the sheet pan. And then I put juice on it. Now, the other thing, if you don't have any citrus and you want everything to brown, your zucchinis, you can also use a paintbrush, you know, like a pastry brush, and put aquafaba, the juice from the chickpeas or the white beans, some kind of clear bean juice. And that, too, is a really good browning method. So, again, to avoid putting all the oil so that everything gets browned in the oven. And why are we roasting these? Because it really deepens the flavor, okay? So I don't think we're not going to have time to roast this right now, but maybe we'll just throw it in to our thing, even though it doesn't match the rest of the vegetables. So we've got our pan hot, and somewhere here on the counter, I definitely have a little bit of broth, because normally ratatouille doesn't have any broth in it at all, but most of the time, if you look at a normal ratatouille recipe, it will have anywhere from a half to 1 cup of olive oil, okay? So I've actually said on the recipe, we might need to have some broth. Again, ratatouille doesn't usually count on broth, but we might need it because we're not using any other form of liquid. And if things start to stick, we're gonna need that liquid, okay? And the other thing that I have is I have 4 cloves of garlic here that are already finely minced, okay? So we're gonna just start as you normally would, but I do want to look in the back about the corn and see how it's doing. Let me just make sure. Okay, it's not burning, so that's good. And this is hot, and how do we know that it's hot? Because we're putting some water and it's immediately steaming. I'm sure that you can actually see that. Okay, so I'm gonna take these onions, which again, I am almost dying to eat. I never took the skin off, just so you know. And I never really took the end off, so it's all tied together. So this ends up being just a little bit of garbage, okay? And I'm gonna just cut these onions pretty chunky, actually. They can remain big, okay? Because they're, and just to prove a point to you, I want to show you, this is totally sweet, okay? Doesn't make me cry, doesn't make me say, ah, that's a raw white onion. You know, it's really, really delicious. You can cut them into 4s and then cut them in half, but just like you would start anything, right? But I'm gonna get all the onions done before I go putting them in the pan. I'm taking off their little skins now. And if you think I'm throwing these out, you're out of your mind. These are all gonna go into my stock, and they're gonna be delicious. They're gonna add more flavor to my stock. Okay, so this skin is not garbage. It is for the stock. Okay, I'm cutting these onions in half one direction, and then I'm making big chunks. Okay, and we're gonna get these in the pan right away. Okay, you have to be careful because they're a little bit slippery. Okay, so this, you can hear it sizzling. You can see. Now, none of this, once we get all this pulled together, we don't need it to be a lot of cooking. Okay, I'm gonna keep this on low. I'm gonna put the garlic in immediately, okay? And I'm gonna put a little bit of broth just to get everything started. And I'm just gonna pour this, not a lot, okay? And I'm gonna get a big spoon, and we're gonna just start to get this stirring. Okay, just like you would do any kind of stew, right? You get your aromatics and everything. The garlic is cooking. I'm gonna move this so that it's not in the way. The other thing that we're going to add to this is we're also gonna add some bay leaves, okay? And I have probably a little more. I suggested 1/4 to a half a teaspoon of chili flakes. Again, chili flakes might not be a normal thing in ratatouille, but we're not using any salt, right, in this recipe or oil. So I have to think, what are the substitutions? So this is a good substitution because it's going to help bring up the flavor. And I think if any of you cook with Italian food, you know that the chili flakes are essential to the pizza when you're having marinara sauce or you're making the spaghetti. The chili flakes are very, very important. So I have some behind here, and maybe we'll end up using them ultimately, but I think we've got probably enough. Okay, and again, this is really on low. Now in the meantime, so that nothing is getting stuck, I have the broth, but really once I get the tomatoes going, right, then, now these tomatoes, just so you see, I've taken out their cores, so we don't have to worry about anything. And we're just gonna now rough chop these, okay? Just the same method that you've done the onions, okay? Now, if you're one of those really fussy people and you don't like the skin, okay, you just don't want that skin is eventually gonna fall off, you can easily, now at this point, you can take off the skin and just literally pull it off, okay? Because it's cooked and I think if you were not, this is kind of the fancier way to deal with it. Again, these are not going to go into the garbage. That is definitely going into the stock, okay? So this is getting cut. And this, again, if you want to take off the skin, you see how it all peels off. And I always like doing the whole process all at one time. So if we're going to take the skin off, let's just take it all off. Now, again, if you weren't making ratatouille, this is a delicious. You could make a green salad for lunch or dinner and put a nice roasted tomato on top. And you probably don't even need any dressing. You probably could just put a little teeny bit of balsamic vinegar, and that would be your salad, okay? Because tomatoes at this time of the year are beyond heaven, right? So we're not using any canned tomatoes today. You could use canned tomatoes, but why would you do that? So you can see how beautiful. There's a lot of liquid here, so I don't want to show it at too much of an angle. This now is all going in, okay, into the pot. Okay, and things are cooking really slow. Now the next thing that is going to go in that we definitely have to peel are these peppers, okay? These peppers, the skin is just going to come off, just like this, okay? Now, usually when I roast peppers, just like when I roast sweet potatoes, I do a whole sheet pan. And then I just, you know, make a big jar full of roasted red peppers all at one time, right? That's batch cooking, which I love doing on a Sunday, right? You cook a bunch. You know, cook for a while, and then you have food for the next 5 days because you've invested a little bit of time, because you do have to invest time. At some point, I'm not going to lie to you, okay? At some point, you do have to spend some time shopping. You do have to spend some time going and getting the right ingredients. And then you have to spend some time cooking. But if you think I'm in this kitchen every single day making big things, I'm not. This is going to be for the week, okay? So I'm here cutting, and you saw that I peeled everything all at once, okay? And we're just, and I have yellow and red so that it's very colorful, okay? And remember, everything that we're putting in is already been cooked. So it's not like the stew has to cook for a really, really, really long time. It doesn't, okay? Now, one of the things that's important that I want to get in here right away is we want to get some of the fresh herbs. So I'm very proud. I have a big garden now here. Not as big as I'd like, but I now have a garden. So what I'm doing is I have some rosemary, okay? I'm literally putting it in. It's still on the branch. Okay, it's getting buried into this thing. I'm going to have a few sprigs of fresh thyme, maybe not this much, but eventually that stuff's going to come off. And then I have some fresh oregano. Okay, that's what that looks like. And that's all going into this pot without me doing anything. I'm not taking it off the vine. I'm not. It is literally just going to cook. A lot of those leaves are going to come off. And you'll serve it around. You're not going to serve anybody the cooked herbs, but you can pull them all out at one time if you want. I like keeping it in there till the very last serving. So if I'm still eating this on Thursday, the last thing that I'm pulling out is the herbs. Okay? So let's just get this done. And we're almost, and of course we have to get our eggplant, okay? And we have a bunch of eggplant here. Okay, and I am not going to waste this eggplant that you and I just cut. Now, this is not cooked, but if I just cut it and get it in there early while I'm cutting everything else, this will cook and it will get done. It won't be roasted, but it will be better than letting it sit in my fridge having no purpose, right? I really don't like when I leave little bits of things because sometimes they get moved to the back of the fridge. And then I'm like, oh, God, I let that spoil, and I'm really bummed out. Now, I told you we weren't using any canned tomatoes. But the one thing is that I noticed that I really, when I was making this earlier in the week, I really liked having a little bit of tomato paste, actually. And so I end up using a little bit of tomato paste in this recipe. If you don't have any, please don't worry about it, okay? Because sometimes one just doesn't have any. If you buy the can of tomato paste, definitely use your 1 tablespoon out of the can and then portion out other tablespoons like into little pieces of foil and put those other tablespoons into the freezer. That way the whole little can doesn't spoil. But I buy this really delicious, actually, very, very delicious it's called 100% organic tomato paste. It comes in a glass jar, which I really like, but you still have to be very conscientious that it's in the fridge and it could be spoiling. So I usually put a date on it as soon as I open it up so that it's in the fridge. My hand is, I see that it's wiped off because I've gone in it so many times. We need 1 tablespoon, and this doesn't go in here. It's kind of a frustrating process. So you actually have to get a little spoon and actually make your tablespoon like this, okay? And I'm just gonna put the 1 tablespoon in. It's just good for deepening the flavor, okay? That's what that does, okay? And we're also gonna put a little bit of black pepper, okay? And we need to get our other eggplant in here. And I put the zucchini in last because I don't like mushy zucchini. Honestly, it's the one thing that I don't like. I don't mind if the eggplant is a little bit overcooked. I have to look at the corn because we don't want to burn it. And it's very important. So, see, it's good that we're looking at it. Let's check it out. Let's look at it. See, it's brown. Now, it's not brown on all the sides, but it's almost done, okay? And again, this just enhances the flavor, okay? You can do this. I do this all the time with frozen corn. You don't have to have fresh corn, but it really deepens the flavor. So I'm going to just put it back. Hopefully just, you know what, I'm going to turn the oven off. I'm going to stop it. That way we don't forget. And I'm going to quickly get all this other stuff in, and we're going to move on to the next thing. Okay, so this eggplant is going in. Okay, I'm cutting it down the middle, and I'm just cutting big squares, okay? It's up to you how big you want things, but I'm trying to make everything somewhat uniform, okay? You can see, right? Okay? And I'm literally just cutting down the middle the long way and making big squares. And that's going in there. Now we have our zucchinis, and I'm probably gonna, because the zucchini, again, I just told you this, that I'm not a fan of mushy zucchini. I'm just gonna cut all the zucchini. This zucchini is really done, okay? So I'm just gonna leave it here, and we're gonna throw it in at the very end, okay? So this, I'm cutting it all, and we're gonna clear a big space, and that will be our very first. And again, I can look at the recipe, but I kind of just know it by heart. But I know that we've covered everything. There's nothing that we forgot. The only thing that is really special that we will also do at the very end is the fresh basil, okay? But we're not doing that at all now, okay? And this zucchini is just gonna sit here. Again, I will show you. Look, this is edible. Oh my God, is it delicious. A friend of mine here just gave me all the zucchini right out of their garden. And some of the tomatoes are from my own garden. And we're just gonna move this out of here and get this over here. Okay, and our corn is in there. This is gonna sit here. Let's get this stirred, and then it's gonna simmer and cook. And we have to get that tomato paste mixed up. And I'm just gonna show you how beautiful everything is. And if this doesn't tell you that this is summer, this smell, this beauty, this is what summer is about. Some people could tell you it's about swimming, jump roping, but for me, the summer is about these foods that we wait for no other time do we get this combination, and it is just beyond delicious. Okay, so let me just show this to you because I know you can't see, but this is what this looks like. Okay? Delicious. Okay? That's going to simmer. I'm going to put a little bit of juice, a little broth, I mean, not juice, just a little bit, because it's going to just cook. Okay? Again, I probably used like a half a cup. In the recipe, I suggested a cup. Okay? I mean, a cup. But just use a little bit at a time, okay? And again, we're using this broth because we're not using any oil, okay? And we'll eventually taste it to see if it needs any more chili flakes. And of course, the best way when you're cooking a stew for everything to cook is to put the lid on it, okay? So we're gonna get the lid and we're gonna move on. Wendy, are there any questions that are about what we've just done before we move on to the very next thing?
Yes, there are indeed, and it really looks beautiful. The colors combination just looks fabulous. Yes, question. At what temperature do you roast the veggies and for how long?
Okay, in this instructions, I believe I tell you to preheat the oven to 400. Okay, you can preheat it to 425, 400, but you at least want it at 400. Then as far as cooking the vegetables, I would say that it's a good 30 minutes for things that are about a half an inch thick, right? Like the onions and the tomato, it's about 30 minutes. It could be 40 minutes. You just know that it's done because everything is golden. Everything is very beautiful. When I face those onions down, I actually turn them over because I see that they're getting very brown. And then I kind of just flip them over to see. And then I sometimes just leave it in for another minute or two. There's no exact time, but that's a rough estimate, okay?
And does that go for the eggplant as well, Carol? When you're
the eggplant actually takes a little longer. But yes, it's about the same time. It's the same time, and I actually took the zucchini off the tray. Even though zucchini was as thick as the eggplant, the zucchini cooked faster than the eggplant. So I just took it off, and I saw that I wanted the eggplant a little browner, so I just left it in for another extra 5 minutes. And again, everything isn't a science, right? You have to learn to use your own intuition, and I can't pass that on. I can just tell you that the more you do it, you will understand and you will get better at it. It's just, again, I've done it 100 times, so I don't think about it. But do it once and then say, oh, I didn't leave that in long enough. Or, oh, I overcooked that. And then you'll know the next time.
Excellent. And the corn, what temperature and for how long?
Oh, my corn that we just cooked, what I'm calling almost popcorn.
Yes.
That is on the oven. It's on broil. It could be also at 400, but if you want to do it fast, you broil it. And you literally can hear it pop, almost like popcorn. And so you have to just watch it and be very careful. So we're going to get that out of the oven and we're going to start to move on, because I don't want to run out of time, and I'm very conscientious that I try to show all of you so much at one time. So is there more, Wendy, before I move on?
Exactly, and just lots of compliments on your show. So well done, and yep, let's keep going.
Okay, well, I'm always just happy that people show up. That's how I feel. It's like having a party. You wonder, is everyone coming? And then, of course, everybody comes, but you never know. So this is the 2 cups of corn, okay? And I'll show you how to take the corn off the cob, but this actually came right off the cob. But I'm reminding you, you can absolutely use the frozen corn. You can even buy at the Trader Joe's. They have roasted corn already. They actually roast it and then freeze it. But we roasted this. It's kind of a little bit crunchy. Again, why do we do this? It gets caramelized, it gets sweeter, and it makes it more delicious. And we're basically making a spicy relish salad. So I'm just going to put this there. That's going to go there for this moment. And I'm just going to get a smaller bowl out that I don't even have. And I'm just going to get this out in this bowl. And this is going to take 5 minutes. You're going to be like, how did she make that so fast? How did that happen? Okay, so what is this going to have in it? It's going to have it's going to have a dressing that I'm calling a hot sauce. Okay, the hot sauce can be anything you want. I think a lot of you are familiar with that bottle that has a rooster on it. That's called sriracha. Okay, if you use sriracha because that's what you use in your house as a spice, use that. But for me, it's got a lot of salt in it. So I stayed away from that, and I provided a link for you all that I found that the minimalist baker, she actually has a sriracha that can be made very quickly and very simply with literally a pepper, some garlic, some apple cider, and a habanero. And I'll show you what a habanero is. Some people might not know. I used to call them Scotch bonnets, but this is a habanero. And I'm just going to put it in my hand and show you how small it is. Okay, this is what's making the sauce very hot, okay? So it's spicy, I'm not gonna lie to you. And if you wanna cut it back because you're not the daring person, then you don't make it as spicy. But I made 1 jar of sriracha and it has no salt in it. The recipe calls for salt, which I omitted entirely. And then it called for some maple syrup, and I used a little bit of date paste. So it's peppers, it's got a little bit of tomato paste in it, and it's spicy. And we're gonna mix this with some water to dilute it so it's not so spicy, and some lime juice. That is gonna be our dressing. So let's just make this thing come together in a few seconds, because I had this for dinner the other night, and I was like, wow, that was the fastest dinner I've put together in a long time. Okay, so this is coming right off. Okay, and we're just gonna get, some of this corn is stuck. Why is it stuck? Because, again, it caramelized. Okay, and we're just gonna get rid of that over there, and we don't need the pot holder. And let's get this pan. We have to start thinking ahead for the next recipe. Okay, so this is 2 cups of corn. And then I have 2 tablespoons of very, very finely minced red onion, okay? So the red onion is going in there. For all my friends, I have 2 dear friends that don't like onions, but boy, oh boy, will I serve them this because they're just not gonna notice. They're so small. And then very finely minced, okay? What is the difference, okay? In our confetti salad, we're gonna have big diced pieces, okay? That look like almost a half, maybe even bigger, of red pepper. This is red pepper that is very, very finely minced. Okay, almost like you would do garlic. Okay, so that's going in there. That's our relish. Okay, that is corn, onions. Now, could you add other fancy things? Of course you could. You could put cilantro in you want. You could put whatever you could. I got some roasted poblanos yesterday, and you could do that. But this is simple. I'm trying to keep it simple, and I'm not even putting cilantro. Okay, so now we're going to make our dressing very quickly. Okay, we need 1 lemon, and I should really look at the recipe. And we need, let's just mix this because I'm very concerned. Just a minute. We have to get the right spoon. Oh, this is cooking nicely. Oh my God, is it smelling good? Now see, if you don't stir it, what's happening is it wants to stick to the bottom, okay? But it looks and smells delicious. And rather than having it boiling, I'm gonna just really lower this so it's a nice simmer. Okay, what I didn't mention to you was usually before I put the corn in, I often squeeze a little bit of lime juice on it, even though the dressing we're making has lime. But I forgot to put the lime juice on. I just put the corn in, and it's perfectly fine. Okay, so you see how things are somewhat forgiving, that you skip a step, and it's really just okay. So we need juice. We need 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And I have to tell you, I have been buying limes like crazy over lemons, because sometimes limes are like 10 for $1, and you have to buy like 1 lemon and like 2 lemons for $1. So I've been just buying limes, and just because since my friend told me in her country where she's from, she's Dominican actually, and she says, Carol, when I grew up, we didn't distinguish between lemons and limes. And I'm like, really? But they're so different. How could you do that? But you know what? I'm kind of learning to just substitute it and just maybe I would have used a lemon, but lime is perfectly yummy. So I keep all this, okay? So we need 2 tablespoons, and I know that I have 2 tablespoons here. In case you're wondering if I have 2 tablespoons, I'm just going to show you that I'm pretty certain. This is 2 tablespoons right here. I'm going to just pour this out, and it's exact. There's just a drop left in here, so this is going in here. Okay, Then we're going to need 1 tablespoon of this sriracha. Okay, now if you're not having sriracha, the other common spicy thing, yes, you could use the hot sauce that you have that you put on. You could use sauce. You want a hot sauce, so you could use a Tabasco. That would work if that's something that you have in your fridge. You could also use something called harissa, which I give it Wendy the link for. I give her a link for sriracha as well as making your own sriracha, and then a couple different harissas that I like that are delicious. The good thing about making your own hot sauce is you can control whether you put a teeny bit of salt or absolutely no salt. Okay, so we need 1 tablespoon. Okay, that's it. That is it, because this is hotter than I'll get out. And then we need to dilute it with 1 tablespoon of water. Okay, that's it. That's the dressing. Okay, and I'm going to taste it to make sure it's absolutely delicious. Oh, yummy. Yum. Oh, it's hot. And that's just going to go on the corn. Okay, and we're going to just now immediately, you're going to see that we're going to plate this in a second. Just watch all this. So we're going to get the plate. Okay, I put this over tacos during the week, but I also make a salad. And we're going to get the greens out. Now, in the recipe, actually, I mentioned to you that I would like you to get something called super mixed greens, okay? You can use just regular lettuce. You can use a mixture of lettuce. But again, this is summer, and we can have a choice of things, right? And you can buy what they call super greens. At my farmer's market here, they call them a power mix, okay? And what's in the power mix? Here they have they have lettuce, they have kale, they have pea shoots, but it's a beautiful mixture, okay? It's a beautiful, beautiful mixture. It has some arugula in it, has kale in it. So really doctor it up, okay? That's what I'm telling you. Make yourself the best salad you can while you have it all fresh. Because when we're in the dead of winter, you might be just eating red leaf lettuce day in, day out. But this is your time now to go with all the fun things, okay? So you know that I'm not making a dressing. I just want to tell you that, because this is the dressing, okay? And you might say, but every salad needs dressing. Not every salad needs dressing, because there is dressing. So I'm going to generously put this on top. I'm going to move this back so you kind of can see better. Okay, this is all going on top. This is your lunch, right? And of course, you're going to just put the rest of it in an airtight container, and you could easily use this on top of tacos, which I did during the week. And then I want to put a little bit. We're going to just get a knife out here, and we're going to slice some avocado. Now, what other things that you could put in this salad to make it feel like it has more protein? You could definitely doctor it up and put some tofu. You could put some beans. I have some black beans. That would be also very delicious. I'm just going to get this avocado out of here. Okay, it's going to go here. And then I'm just going to slice this up. Okay, and just literally just chunks. I'm not even going to worry about what direction I'm going in here. Okay, and this salad, once it's tossed, has that lemony dressing, and it's very, very light, okay? We don't probably need to do all of the avocado, so I'm going to leave that behind, okay? And that really is just our very quick salad, okay? That's it. It's a spicy corn relish. If you want, of course, you could give it a good stir, right, to get the lettuce a little bit wet, because the corn is definitely wet. And again, it's not going to be one of those salads where you like have a ton of dressing all over it, but it is definitely, and I find what happens when I mix it now, I actually want to go back to the bowl and put some more on the top, right? Because now all the corn has just sunk to the bottom. So I give it a little more. Oh, and I remember last week when I ate this, I put little pumpkin seeds on top. And that was a really nice thing too. So again, use your imagination. This is a good starter salad. You build it up the way you want to. Of course, you could add tomatoes. I'm just like, again, we're kind of having the same ingredients and all these things, but I just wanted to show you a very quick meal that has a little punch to it with all this really delicious lettuce. And again, it's dressed already with the dressing that's in the relish. It doesn't taste too spicy because it's spread out, okay, on all these greens. And you'll be like, oh my God, I can really taste, it's like eating a green for the first time in your life. And you're like, how could it be so delicious? Because you're not drowning it in any dressing, whether it's an oil-free dressing or not. It's light and cool, and I think you'll love it. So we're going to just leave that salad right there for now.
Carole,
any questions?
Yes, indeed, and it looks absolutely delicious. I also love that you're going to put the pumpkin seeds on because that little bit of fat allows the minerals and the phytonutrients in the salad to be absorbed better, or so I hear from the plant-based doctors. So
yeah, and it's good to have a few little, when you're getting your nuts in, right? We know that you're supposed to not be consuming a half a cup or a cup of nuts. You're only looking for the 1 to 2 ounce serving. So if that's the way you're going to do it and get it on the salad, and for someone like me who always wants crunch, because just crunch is my pleasure, right? And so getting that there, then you get your fat, you get your protein, you get all of it all at one time.
Right, and the avocado also will give you the fat to help with absorption. So super cool and so pretty. 2 questions. One is, how do you store the other half of the avocado?
Oh, well, that is to be debated because, it's like one of those things that there's 1,000 different ways. There are many, many, many times that it likes to be married to its own skin, right? So I often will put its lid right back on, and then I just put it in a container, right? It doesn't like to be surrounded by a piece of saran wrap because it likes to build moisture, and that puts the brownness in it right away. You can also squeeze a lemon on it. That often helps. But I usually just now take this, I don't have a container to show you, but just pretend that this is a container, and I would put it in a container and put a lid on it. Okay, that's how I do it. I tend to buy unless you're feeding a family, I tend to buy the tiny little avocados, right? Because there's less spoilage. And of course, I'm never eating more than a quarter or a half at the most in a day, really. So I'm very careful because it is fat. So, but it's good fat. So unless you're a person that doesn't have to worry about it, but the solution to avocado spoiling is to buy those little teeny ones. And the Trader Joe sells them in a little bag, and you can find them a lot of places. And I've stopped buying those big, large ones unless I'm making guacamole and I'm having friends over and I need a big avocado.
Excellent. And one more. When you're batch cooking the roasted peppers, how long do they last in the fridge?
You know what? I would give it probably a week. 5, maybe 7 days at the top. And I, literally make a whole tray at one time. I peel them, and then I get a nice jar like this, a big jar, and then I just cut them into strips, and I just put them in a jar. And then that juice, there's a special juice that settles at the bottom that is like so beautiful, and I never get rid of that because it's so much flavor. And I, make sure that whatever I'm cooking, that gets poured on top of the salad, or, don't lose that juice at the bottom is all I'm saying. It's kind of like porcini. It's like, it's golden, you don't want to lose it.
And then on the salad, that can easily be, or just the black beans and the corn relish can be put into a corn tortilla, right?
Oh, yes. If you go into my Instagram, you'll see that I made flour tortillas this week, and I smashed a yam, and then I had I didn't even have black beans. I had yellow, like special gourmet beans. I put beans, and then I put, oh, I'm eating kale every day because I have enough kale in the yard that is I have to eat kale breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I put kale on top. So it was flour tortilla, smashed sweet potato, kale, cooked kale, and then on top the corn relish. And
Fabulous.
oh my God, I thought I died and went to heaven. So you can look on the Instagram for the exact look of it, but it was, I think I ate 3 of them actually, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay to eat 3 of them.
Yep, all that kale. We're ready to move on. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off because it's really cooked, and I don't want to get distracted, and we have a lot to do on the next dish. So what I want to just show you is I'm going to put this zucchini, right? Remember, we have this zucchini on the sheet pan. It's going in, and we're putting it at the very, very end, okay? And this is really, really beautiful. And I'm going to pick it up just to show you. It's very hot. And I turned the burner off, okay? But this is what this looks like. Okay, can everyone see? Is that a good view? I think it's good. And it's incredibly, and I did mention in the recipe, of course you want to eat at this moment, right? If you're smelling this, you are going to definitely eat at this moment. But like any stew, this is going to be just like lasagna, right? You cook the lasagna and then you eat it the next day and you say, that's really much better than it was the night before. So of course this is going to be better as time goes by. And you could portion it out for yourself, for dinners or lunches, but there's a lot of stew here. And also, I want to tell you, today we're going to serve it over polenta when we actually plate it. But you could serve this with rice, brown, white, whatever. You could serve it with quinoa. You can serve it, I don't know, you're not going to serve it over a sweet potato, but you certainly could roast some white potatoes and put this on top of a roast potatoes, which would be phenomenal. Okay, so again, if it's me eating this whole pot, it's not going to be every night polenta and ratatouille. It's going to be different every night with a different starch, so that it makes me feel that I'm eating something different, even though it's really the same ratatouille day in and day out. Okay, so those are the ideas. Okay. So let's get rid of some of these bulky things that we don't need, and we're going to move on. Now, in the back here, I have boiling water because we need to cook some pasta. Okay, so let's get this moved. We'll bring things back when we can. Okay, when you want to see everything. But for now, we have to focus on what we're calling the confetti salad, which is kind of my own take on a forks over knife recipe. Again, sometimes I see recipes and I just get inspired by the one part or half a part, and then I say, okay, I'm just going to kind of reinvent this myself. I've had enough inspiration and I'm moving on and I'm just going to make it. So what do we have for all this? I want to just make sure that you see everything that we have. Okay, so the very first thing we have are Zoodles. Okay, and if you're not eating, much pasta, okay, we're going to cook some pasta, but heavy it up on the Zoodles, okay? You don't have to have the pasta, but it's nice to have both textures. So I've made a bunch of Zoodles out of the zucchinis that everybody seems to be having in their yard, okay? We're in an abundance amount of zucchini, and how much zucchini fritters, zucchini bread. So you have to think about how every day am I going to use the zucchini? What else is the zucchini going to go in? The most beautiful thing is that it makes these noodles, which I love so much. Now you might say, how do I make those? I don't know how to make those. Well, I have a great little spiralizer. There are lots of different brands, okay? I know Wendy, I've been at Wendy's house and she has a big gizmo that is it's like a professional super zoodler. But I have a teeny little one. It's plastic. It looks almost like a toy. I've given Wendy the actual link for it for you, okay? It is a Japanese by Beriner, okay? This is the box. I like to keep it in the box because I love the packaging. Look, it has a nice woman on the side. I love the writing. Okay, so this lives in the box. And, oops, I better move the box. This lives in the box. It comes with 3 blades, actually. Okay, so how does this work? We're not going to spend much time on this because this is going to, we don't want to, but I just want to show you how much fun it is. Okay, this, if you have the 5-year-old or the young kid, I mean, I'm the big kid here, and I love nothing more than zoodling. Whether it's beets, it could be sweet potatoes, not cooked, obviously. It could be it could be radishes, okay? It could be so many things, and all you do is turn it, right? And look what you get. It's like incredible. It's so, I love it so. Okay, it's a fun tool, and even in my old Manhattan kitchen where I was very limited and said, okay, I have to be picky and choosy about the items that I have in my kitchen, this was something that really felt like a good investment to me, and I love it so. So that is this tool. It's very easy to clean, very easy to wash, and I love keeping it in its box. Okay, so we're just going to put it over there for now, but we have, those are our noodles. We also have water that is going to boil, and I'm going to show you. I know that many of you have seen me cook lots of pasta before. If you're, I try to discourage you from eating just the white pasta that we all know has no nutrients in it. Try to eat the whole wheat, 100% whole wheat pasta. There are lots of other kinds of pastas. There's quinoa pasta. There's bean pastas, there's black bean, there's chickpea, there's so many kinds of bean pastas. But the one pasta that I really love that makes me not miss that white pasta, like literally not miss the white pasta. Actually, it's hard to eat the white pasta now because it tastes like nothing, okay, is this brand here. And I didn't give Wendy the little link. I forgot to give her the link, but this is what they call Tinka Yada, but it's Pasta Joy, okay? And it's brown rice pasta. And if I've ever believed any advertising on a bag, this is probably the only time. And it literally says, good texture, not mushy, al dente. It is true. It is really true. So this comes in all sorts of shapes. I actually have 2 different shapes here. I'm at the end of my bag. I think because I don't want this heavy on the pasta, I'm probably just going to cook one in a little bit. So I think the water's boiling, and I'm going to get this started. Okay, so that's going in. And I'm just going to put a handful, just a handful. I don't need so much pasta. I'd rather be heavy on the zucchini. Okay, so that's cooking, and that's going to eventually boil. Now we have to start with, and we're going to get our mixing bowl out, and let me just find which mixing bowl I'm going to use. We're going to use another mixing bowl, a big one like this. Okay, so we have, that's going to go into this bowl, we have 1 cup of cherry tomatoes, just cut in half, okay? And we have a cup and a half, a whole cup and a half of edamame frozen. They've been out. As soon as the pasta is almost done, maybe 1 minute to 2 minutes before, I'm literally going to put these beans in, and they're going to cook for 2 minutes, okay? And then we have big chunks of red pepper. We're going to have that, and we are going to, now we have to make our sauce. Okay, this is the important part. We're going to make a corn sauce. And how do we make this? And this bowl is too high. Let's just switch all this up because I want you to have something that you can all see. So let's just switch this up. And if anybody watched the tip that I did the other day, how to peel corn. We peeled corn the other day when it was just raw. And someone asked, oh, can I eat raw corn? And I'm like, of course you can. You don't have to cook it. You're just really cooking it to warm it up. But I did cook the corn because I cooked it, and I cooked 3 ears, okay? I have 1, 2, and then I took this much, okay? A half. I halved. So 1 1/2 is going to be the corn that's just going to go into the salad, okay? So let's just get that done with right this minute. And how are we going to get this off? We're going to get our small bowl, which I have here. Okay, and we can't forget about the pasta. Okay, I'm going to give it a stir. We have to watch that all very carefully. Okay, and we're going to get this corn. Again, if it's raw, you've taken the husks off, you've gotten all the string off, and you're going to hold this on. This is not such a flat bottom. It's better. Sometimes I just cut this, but it's hard to cut. So I just leave this. You want a sharp knife, okay? And you're literally going to run your knife along, and you're going to cut the corn, okay, off the cob. Okay, you got to be careful. Why do I put it in a bowl? You can do this on your cutting board, but I see often that the corn goes flying everywhere, right? So you just want, and again, you do need a sharp knife to do this. And if we were making corn chowder, I would definitely use these corn on the cobs in the stock because there's still flavor in here. And sometimes you can rub the back of the spoon and get some extra milk out. But we don't need to do that at the moment. And we're just, again, a cup and a half, corn and a cup, the corn, one whole corn plus a half is going to be going into the salad. And the other part is going to be going into the blender to make our sauce. Okay, so we've done that. I've done none of this ahead, so we really have to, I think we're doing actually just perfect on our timing. Okay, so we're going to put this is going to be our dressing. Okay, it's going to be like a corn. I kind of made it look, the other day I actually squeezed it out as if it were almond milk, but you don't have to. So let's just put that on the side for this moment. And I like doing all the same tasks at one time. So that corn is for the dressing, and now we're going to get this corn, and this corn is going to be for the salad, okay? Now, you can make planks, okay, which is just kind of, so instead of going down quickly, you can make it so that you have these, what they call planks. It's hard to do, kind of. It's a technique. But so that you don't end up with all the kernels being separated, you actually have it so that you're actually cutting so that they're actually big pieces. So that you're not having, I don't know, it's just a way of putting different texture into your salad. You can definitely make planks. But if you're doing this for the first time, then I would just say get the corn off the cob, right? Okay, so that's the other one. And then we have our half. Right, because we just used 3, and this corn is getting off the cob. You know, it's a little tedious, probably just watching me do this, but it is a lesson. Okay, and of course I don't know, I always want to go and grab it and eat it all. See how these planks are? These are nice to have. These are super nice to have. So I'm going to try not to futz with that corn. Okay, I'm going to leave some of those planks. Because it's kind of nice, you'll see. It's kind of like when you eat paella in Madrid or something. And you have you get paella that is all vegetables and you get big pieces of corn. Sometimes they leave the corn on the cob, actually. Okay, so that's going to go in. The peppers, we might as well just put the peppers in. Okay, we might as well just put the tomatoes in. That's going in. Again, look, we've used a lot of these same ingredients. We're going to put, eventually, the soy beans into the pasta when the pasta is almost done, so I'm going to bring that close by. Okay, now you're going to say what's going into this dressing that she's making. Okay, what's happening? Okay, so let's just get this, and I actually have to look because I don't remember. So we're going to have 2 tablespoons, and I love my measuring spoon that is actually 2 tablespoons. Okay, so I squeeze lemon. And there's going to be 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Okay, so that's going in there. I put a little bit of onion powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, and a little bit of cayenne. Okay, how much cayenne? I say like a pinch of cayenne. Again, there's no salt going in here. So in order to bring up the flavor, we have to think, how are we going to bring up the flavor? And the cayenne is going to do that, okay? So if you were thinking when it's done, it needs a little more, then you put a little more cayenne. So I have the jar over here to the side, because I measured out a big pinch, but you never know. It might need a little bit more. Okay, and then we need to have 1 whole teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And somehow, I don't know why I ended up putting it in this gigantic bowl, but I put a big teaspoon. So this is a teaspoon of mustard. Okay, now you could do this in your NutriBullet. I'm doing it in the Vitamix because it's so powerful that it will make it super, super smooth. Now, the first time that I made this, I actually, what did I do? I sent it through a nut bag, and I actually squeezed it out so that there were no sediments. But I honestly realized that a lot of you might not have a nut bag. It's an extra step to go, and it really isn't necessary because you might as well eat all the pulp. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it made it really creamy, okay? So again, first time I made it, I sent it through the nut bag, squeezed it out as if it were almond or oat milk, but it's kind of a wasted step. Before we go mixing this up, and we need to add some water actually to this, and I am looking to see, we are going to add water, and I don't see that I've written how. Oh, we need garlic. We need 1 garlic clove. That is definitely something we need, and I don't have. And we need a half a cup of water. Okay, so let's just get that garlic clove and check on the pasta. Okay, and we are almost done. Okay, so we're gonna get that out, and that I'm not even bothering. That's the end of that. That can go, that we don't need to see that. And we need a half a cup of water. Okay, and I have a half a cup. And I'm just gonna put that in there. Okay, and then we're gonna send that buzzing around in the Vitamix, but we are gonna check the pasta first. So let's go back here, see how everything is doing, see where we are. Gonna bring it up close. Let's just, whoa. I'm bringing it up close. See, we have the pasta. Let's just taste it. We're looking for something. Okay, it's still a hair slightly al dente. Okay, so this is gonna go back, and we're gonna put right now our edamame beans. Okay. Now, would this salad be delicious with fresh green beans? Of course. The purple ones, the yellow ones, the green ones. Again, when you're cooking, you're just looking for color, you're looking for texture, and obviously flavor. So beans have a lot of protein in it, so the edamame is really good. But let's just say you don't like the edamame, then put chickpeas, put cannelli beans. You could even add black beans, okay, right? Or kidney beans or pinto beans, any beans, okay? There's a million varieties. I'm just saying to you, you don't have to do the edamame, okay? So we're gonna put the lid on this, and we're gonna buzz it around. And that's gonna go here. I'm gonna put the lid. And I'm going to try not to talk during the Vitamix because nobody can hear me. So we're going to put it on high. Okay, now we're gonna taste it, right? Because this is our dressing, right? And can you see it's super, super creamy? Okay, and I'm just gonna taste a little bit. Oh my God, you don't understand. It's lemony, it's oniony, it's perfect. Okay. Now what I was thinking, again, because I've only done this recipe once, and I just told you earlier that I'm not sending it through the nut bag because a lot of people might not have. I suddenly realized that I have my colander here. And let's just see if I send it through the colander. How much, because there's something about squeezing things out that makes things really smooth. Now, I might change my mind here. And it's okay to change your mind. And I try to make things the easiest for all of you so that you're not doing step after step, okay? So if you were not draining anything, right? If you were not straining anything, you would not have to do this. Okay, but what is going to happen is you're going to end up, just like when you make almond milk, you're going to end up with pulp. Okay, but this pulp could go into the salad. It really doesn't necessary. I just want to show you that what happens is this ends up super, super smooth. Okay, but now that I've done all this, I've decided to put it all back. Okay, because I just wanted to show you that all those ideas are possible. But make things simple for yourself, right? So now we have the dressing in a really big bowl. It looks delicious. Can you see right there? What I would do is put this half of this away, but let's not put it away till we actually dress the salad. Okay, so I'm going to move the dressing over to the side. We're going to check on the pasta because I bet it's done. Okay, and we're going to check on it. It needs like 30 seconds more. Wendy, maybe we could answer a question this very, very second. If there was one or two.
That's an excellent idea. And honestly, what you're preparing is so compelling, Carole, that we don't have any questions. At least, let me just double check. But, you know, the colors, it strikes me over and over again how colorful your cooking is. And that yellow sauce from the corn just now looks just spellbinding with the mustard and all that. And yeah, the dish that you're showing, so colorful.
It's so beautiful, right? I mean, it just makes you just sing, right? Like it just, I don't know, for me, I just am so happy at this time of year. I mean, I'm happy. I can get happy over kale and beets or something in the winter, but it's a different happiness. This is God's gift to us. This is Mother Nature saying this is beautiful and summer, and this is, I don't know, it just speaks to me in the biggest way. And
absolutely.
All the things marry together, right? Things, you're not forcing things, you're not trying to figure out how things go together. They just naturally go together, like as if they were meant to be, you know, like cinnamon and nutmeg go together, like certain things go together. Corn, tomatoes, red peppers, they just, and basil, it just goes together. The other day, I ate a plate of just cucumbers and tomatoes and basil and balsamic. That was my lunch. And I was just like, it was just
talking to somebody about that.
That was lunch. A whole plate of cucumbers because I'm going to show off, okay? Because I have a whole thing of cucumbers, right? From my garden, okay? From my garden. Cucumbers. Some of them I let grow too big, okay? But the fact is that you can have all these really delicious things, and it's simple, simple, simple. So that's that. We're going to get the pasta out.
Lovely.
Okay? And because it's definitely done. In the sink. I don't have a bowl anymore, which is not good.
We do have a quick question, Carole, which is...
Okay, I'm listening while I'm draining, okay?
Perfect. Is this a cold dish, or is it better heated up?
Wait, say that one more time.
Is this better served as a cold dish, or is it better heated up?
I'm going to tell you that we're going to serve it kind of warm. We're going to serve it warm. I don't really want to cook it because we're just having it so fresh. But I eat it the next day cold, like room temperature. I like it room temperature. Of course, tonight it's going to go in the refrigerator, right? And it's going to get cold, and I don't really like it so cold. That's just who I am, right? So if I'm going to eat lunch at 1 o'clock, then I just take it out an hour early, and I let it sit on the counter, and I let it get to room temperature. So everyone's going to say, are you cooking these zucchinis? I am not. I'm going to put the zucchini in. I'm not sure if we need them all, okay? I'm not sure. I'm kind of doing this by eye. The pasta is done. I'm going to run a little bit of cold water on it, just so you know, because I do want it to just get cool. Okay, it's just going to get cool. And the very most important thing is don't rush this step. Let this drain for a minute or two, okay? I'm just going to, because you don't want to add the extra water. You know, a lot of people make a mistake and just drain something for a minute, and then they carry that water. It's like washing lettuce, and then you don't dry it. You've added a lot of extra water, and you've diluted all your flavors. Okay, so this is drained, pretty drained. I kind of squeeze it a little bit just to make sure. See, more water. Can you all see that how much more extra water is coming out? Now this pasta and these beans are a little warm, okay? And it's gonna go on top of the zucchini, which is gonna help collapse this a little bit, okay? I'm just gonna look how much I've made. I'm like cooking for an army here, okay? All of you have to come over. Just immediately come over, okay? So let's get rid of some of these things. And, oh, I don't think, okay, and we're gonna put some dressing on this, okay? Oops, I have the dressing. The leftover dressing is definitely going in the fridge, okay? So let's put half, I put half for now. And we're gonna get this mixed up. And I'm gonna just get in there, I'm gonna rinse my hands. I know that and we're gonna have to finish up in a moment, but we will be finished. And I'm just gonna give this a good mix, get all the colors, right? It looks really good. And of course, I'm just gonna get all the zucchini in there, right? We might as well. Again, I said I don't wanna have any left over, okay? We'll try to leave some on the top. We can taste it to see if it needs any more dressing. Let's just see. Now at this point, if it needs something, you can put black pepper, you can put a little bit of cayenne, but it's pretty good. And you could put a little more dressing. I'm gonna put just a little more because it needs it. I don't want it to be too heavy, okay? And we have to so immediately what I'm gonna do is rinse my hands. We're gonna get everything plated because we have to finish. So what are we doing? We're gonna put this into a beautiful bowl. It's a lot. Look at how pretty that is. I made a ton. We could put our basil in sooner, but I like putting it on the top, right? Look at that. Delicious. Who would have ever thought of making salad with creamed corn, right? So that is that. Let's move this a little bit out of the way for now. We're gonna get everything plated. Get rid of this and this. There's nothing like cleaning the counter, I'll tell you. Oh, and the one thing that we have to have the cutting board for, actually coming back with the cutting board, is we have to chiffonade a lot of basil. So here's basil. Basil from my yard, which I'm so excited about. Soon I'm gonna make a bunch of pesto. So let's just get all these leaves off, because we need some for the ratatouille, right? We need ratatouille, we need some for this salad. So I think a lot of you have seen me do this many, many times, but you make a nice bed of basil, right? You're making a bed and you're just stacking all the leaves up. This is a lot of leaves, but it's okay. You can put a lot of leaves. And then you're gonna roll it. So you've made a nice bed, right? And then you're gonna roll it like a tight, like a burrito, okay? And sometimes, so you don't have long strands, sometimes I actually cut it down the middle, but let's just cut it. Basil is a very tender herb, and it doesn't like to be chopped. So this is the most that you ever want to cut it, okay? And then I kind of cut it down the middle. Most people just tear basil. When you get your pizza, you see big pieces of torn basil. They tear it for a reason, because you really can damage it. It's a very tender. So that goes on top, right? And if you want to get some of it worked in, you can, right? But you want it on top, right? So that is that salad. And then, of course, we've got to get the polenta out, okay, and the ratatouille. And this could be, let's just see how I'm going to do this. 1 minute. Again, you can cook some rice. I actually made some polenta and I put it in a pan several hours ago. And if we had time, I would actually probably cook this up in a pan like a skillet and brown it. But It's not necessary. You all can use your imagination. But you can have soft polenta with the ratatouille, which I love very much. Or you can have shapes, right? So I just cook this. And if you see, I'm going to flip this over. I think it's going to come out. You see? It just comes out like that. And then you can put this in the broiler. You can make any shapes you want, triangles, diamonds. I think it's nice to have triangles, you know. Again, you would want to heat this, right? But you can make nice shapes. If anybody has a grill, this is when you go and you put it on the grill, just like this. This is cold, but imagine that it's hot, okay? I have to have you use your imagination because we don't often have time to do every single thing that I ultimately want. So we're going to put that, and we can just, I like it on the bottom. You can just put 2 pieces. It doesn't matter how you do it. Sometimes I have to figure it out. You can put it high up, right? And then we're going to take this lid, and we have our beautiful, beautiful. Now, of course, we have to taste this, right? We can't just serve it without tasting it. So let's get a spoon or fork. Make sure that the food is good. Oh my God. Nothing needs to be done, okay? Now, it's not always perfect, but it is perfect this time, okay? So we're just going to take a big scoop, and we're going to just put that on top, right? And we're going to put this on top, and maybe we'll put a little bit, try to get some so it's balancing, just a little bit. And then, of course, we have to put our basil, right? It needs the basil. And that is our meal. We have everything here. Not sure you can see every single thing. Let's get this out of here carefully. And let's get the counter. As you know, I hate the counter when it's dirty. It's always a clean counter, clean mind. That's how I'm really a believer in that. Okay, if everything is mixed up and dirty, then you can't work. Okay, so we have our corn salad, that are confetti salad, inspired by Forks Over Knives. We have our roasted ratatouille, and then we have our super, 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 super delicious corn here.
Carole, can you raise those to the camera just so they're
Sure, I'll do one at a time because I can't hold everything at once.
Yes, of course, one at a time.
This is the beautiful salad, the corn with the super greens, what I call a mixture of greens.
Beautiful.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have our ratatouille, right? Our beautiful ratatouille served over polenta.
Gorgeous.
And then, of course, again, I'm trying to make sure you see every single thing here. And then we have our incredible zucchini corn dress. This would need tossing, right? But if you're getting it to the table, just toss it and then serve it. Because what's happening is just like all pasta, the sauce is absorbing. So tomorrow, when you eat this, let's say it's in the refrigerator, maybe you'll take a little bit of leftover dressing and just toss it so it becomes fresh again, right? I'm definitely have a little bit of sauce left, and I'll probably tomorrow put a little more on just to make it so it seems, because pasta absorbs things. That's just what happens. You can't prevent any of that, you know. So this is all the things here. I'm gonna move some of this here so you all can see every single thing.
You are getting wonderful comments in the chat. Looks delicious, fantastic summer meal. Carole Klawonsky's here. Carole's been with us from the very start. Thank you, Carole, and many, many people who've been really your fans for the last couple of months. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Carole, you have outdone yourself with these summer vegetables, eggplants, peppers, tomatoes, corn. Oh my gosh, I had corn from Ethos Farm. Actually, the vegetables from Ethos Farm were particularly delicious, but we had some corn that was also really yummy. So wow, thank you. That is definitely wrapping up summer vegetables. Exquisite. There actually are no other questions, just wonderful comments. Everyone would like to come for dinner tonight, but since they're from all over the country, I don't think we'll land in Taos in enough time. But thank you. Really great cooking lesson. Another thank you. Any last words? And then I'll make the announcements about how to join us next.
No, I just want you to go out to your market or go to your neighbor who has the garden and just make sure you get all the freshest vegetables you possibly can and just enjoy it. And again, all these things at this time of year marry together. So just experiment or follow the recipes and add the things that you like. And it was important for me to show you the ratatouille without using a half to a cup of oil. That's a really big deal, and it's really possible, okay?
That's an important lesson, that ratatouille can be made. And the other thing that happens is when you're so used to having it with oil, you pretty much taste the oil and salt, where here you really get to taste the vegetables. And then I'm sure, and I probably bring it up with all of Carole's dishes, the colors are exquisite, and just about everybody from the Ayurvedic to the whole food plant-based docs will say, eat the rainbow, eat your colors. So Carole, super colorful, super well done. It all looks magnificent.
Great.
So upcoming events with Plant Powered Metro New York. We have something coming up. So we're taking a 2-week holiday the next 2 weeks. Enjoy your summer, enjoy your vegetables. The next event we've got planned is Get Started with Whole Food Plant-Based Nutrition on Thursday, September 9th from 7 to 8:30. And we'll put the link in the chat. You can pretty much register for all of these pay as you wish on our website, which is plantpoweredmetronewyork.org. There's an events page, and you can sign up for as many events as you'd like. We also have a wonderful doctor who's coming in to talk about fasting. So on Tuesday, September 14th, from 7 until 8:15, get healthy, fast. Can doing nothing actually help? This is with Dr. Nathan Gershfeld. Dr. Gershfeld was an intern with Dr. Goldhammer at the True North Fasting Clinic. Liana of Plant Powered Metro New York and I met Dr. Gershfeld recently at the National Health Association conference. By the way, anyone wants to come or join annually, there's a magazine called Health Sciences, and the National Health Association is really a fantastic annual conference. So Dr. Gershfeld spoke there, and Liana and I both felt, let's nab him for Plant Powered Metro New York. So that's on September 14th from 7 to 8:15. And then our next cooking class with Chef Carole, my dear friend, Sunday, September 12th from our usual time, 5 to 6:15. So everyone here, you will now be able to catch us on the Plant Powered Metro New York social media pages, on YouTube or on Facebook. So tune in again September 12th from 5 to 6:15. If you want the recipes, go ahead and register for the event, because the recipes are emailed, and I believe on the replays they are put in the show notes. So you should be able to get the recipes for those people who are watching the replay. So thank you everyone who is here and who's come and who's joined us this afternoon. Thank you in advance to the people watching the replay, and thank you to my dear friend Jim Spellos for your technical producing, and Alan Smithy for your behind the scenes camera work. We love you. We couldn't do this without you. Carole can be reached at carole@theveggievangard.com and on Instagram at the Veggie Vanguard. If you go to Carole's website, theveggievangard.com, you'll also see fantastic pictures and ongoing recipes. So you can reach her directly if you've got further questions, or just go to the website. And that's it for today. Thank you so much. Carole looks yummy.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I wish I could come for dinner.
And thank you, everybody.